Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is September 4th, 2024. It is, oh my gosh, it's 333. I swear to God. Oh, it's 333. Okay. Anyways, if you know what that means, sorry, look it up. Okay, so let me give you guys the awe of God in going in part of my current journey testimony. Okay? This is really cool to talk about because when you see the full picture and you see what God is doing, you just go, I swear. Okay. So. God, that's so weird to tell. Hey, no. Sorry, I have my door open because it's beautiful outside, and so there's people making noises, and of course the dogs are just gonna bark because this is what they do. But I have a couple peeps that I have mentioned in some of my last videos that you go way back on. And on one of my videos, I was kayaking. And I don't think that there's many videos where I'm kayaking, so I don't think it's really hard to find. What I talked about in that video, I don't know. I don't even know what the video was about. I just remember where I was. And at the end of my video, I was really excited because I was going to go to a girls' night. And there is a group of girls, sorry, I was getting a message from my daughter. There's a group of girls that were there. And one of the girls was getting ready to have gastric bypass surgery. I had gastric bypass surgery back in 2015. Now, before you go, oh, no wonder she's lost so much. I've gained and lost the weight more than once since then. And I had to do that on my own. So I want to make that very, very clear to people who want to then start judging what you don't know. But you have to know my journey in order to know that. And there are pictures and there are people and my peeps who have watched me lose and gain weight more than once. They're my gym peeps. They're some of my church peeps. There's some of my... So I have a circle of people that honestly is really weird for me to say because in a lot of my journey... We all weren't that close. We were close in those eras and in those times, but we've all still remained friends. But we don't really talk, but we do, and we all watch each other's journey. I don't know how to explain that, but that's really cool now that I kind of put that together too. Anyways, so I've gained and I've lost and and all this kind of stuff, and I go, okay, but anyways, she was getting ready to have the gastric bypass surgery. So she's asking me all kinds of questions, and I'm helping her the best that I remember because I'm going, God, I don't even remember doing that. I don't remember doing that for mine. How much things have changed, but in some ways they didn't. You have to still lose so much weight. You still have, I don't know. But I did tell her there's a real big mental part of this that they don't talk about. And if anybody's ever watched 600 pounds, then you'll know what I'm talking about with this doctor. And he's like, you have to lose this weight. He is setting your mind up to keep the weight off. He's a really good doctor. And I went, but I kind of tried to figure that out, but you don't think it's you. You just don't see that anyways. But later on now I go, that totally makes sense now. You can lose all the weight that you want, and sometimes you need to have this surgery. You guys, I was on 8 medications. My daughter won't stop. I should have just put on not disturb. Sorry. I was on 8 medications. I was out of breath. I had asthma. I had sleep apnea. I couldn't walk from the parking lot to Walmart without hurting, and my knees hurting. My body was shutting down. I'm 4'11". I was almost 300 pounds at 4'11", and I go, holy cow, that's a lot of weight to put on that short of a body and little bones and you know what I mean? And so my body was shutting down. I needed to have the surgery in order to survive. Well, I lost the weight and this and that, but mentally nothing was changing. And so I gained and I lost and I gained and I was repeating more cycles and I finally said, something else has to change. This isn't working. And so then I started to do my journey about a year ago and really honed in on God and started doing this journey. And so to fast forward, I now meet somebody who's about ready to because this is how God works. I'm going to put some pieces together for you all. So I say she because I'm pointing the different people. Sorry, I'm anyways. So she's asking me the question. I'm like, I don't remember doing that. I remember I said, but work with your mental. You really need to work on the mental. And so she really dove into the mental aspect before even having the surgery and calling me freaking out about having the surgery, believe it or not. And she was just like, look, I'm freaking out. My blood level has something about her blood or something was going on. Her iron, I think it was her iron. Something was off. Something wasn't right. And I said, that's the devil playing with you, right? And she's like, well, what do you mean? And so I kind of went deep with her, and she was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. And she's like, okay. I'm like, look, I go, you're taken care of. I said, you have done so much research. You have looked so much into this. I said, and that's what's giving you the panic is you did too much thinking in it. And so if you are into something that's too much, it can become unhealthy. And this is why the doctors say don't go on WMD or whatever it is and diagnose yourself. That's why they say that. You know what I'm saying? And for some instances, I think that's right. I think that if someone tells you have cancer and you go and research it, you're going to find, you're only going to see 50,000 things that are bad with the fact that you have cancer and not look at what do I need to do to solve this part. And so I think that this is where the devil gets to play with you when you get sick or when things happen or when things go on and you go into a panic mode. And when you go into a panic and a survival mode, you're confusion. And so things aren't right and things don't look right. And so depending on where you're at when you're feeling or where you're at and what you're ready to receive or what you're ready to read or what you're ready to look at depends on the view in which you're going to accept what you're reading or accept what you're looking at. Yes, there are pros and cons to everything, isn't there? There's good and bad in everything. The Bible, us, people, this, that. I can go on and on and on and on, but we're getting to the point of what I'm saying a little bit quicker now, aren't we? And so I look at this and I said, make sure that you're diving into this and really looking at it from a different point of view. I said, you've done this, I said, there's nothing else you can do to change the outcome. You've done everything that you can. I said, so how about if you just pray and go, God, let me get there. And it was smooth and everything flowed and everything since then has been flowing for her. And she's doing phenomenal and she looks beautiful and she looks amazing and she looks healthy and she's happy and she went back to school and she's going to music school and she's thriving and she's kept that mindset to keep going. And so she's battled a bunch of things and there's a bunch of things she's still battling and there's a bunch going on, but her perspective and her outlook is just very, very good right now. And her father is a preacher and she's looking at getting back into the church and going, and singing in the church again. And I just go, oh, let's go, God, and so there's her. And then I have another friend and, there's a lot happening there, but I'm not going to share that part of that testimony because, we're struggling. And I don't ever want to make anybody look bad in any way, shape, or form, because that is not my intentions on my journey in any way. And I pray, and I'm hoping that she gets what she needs figured out for herself. And she knows that I'm here. She knows that I'm ready whenever she is, and I have made that very clear. But I just, let go and let God, and that's kind of what you have to do in those moments. And I get that, and that's part of the wheat and the tare, and that's part of things that happen. That's part of things that go on. There's nothing wrong. We didn't get into a fight. There's nothing like that. There's just perspectives that have to sink in. And I think that there's some things that I'm working on and that they're working on. And so when God realigns some things, then we'll get to where we need to be. And I'm just going to put it like that. There was another young lady that was there, and she has a lot of health issues and she has a lot of things going on and this and that. And I'm not going to put all that stuff out there. Again, that's not my intentions in this and all, but to give you the praise report in this is that she has messaged us in a little group chat that we have that she was so excited that she lost 3 pounds. And so she's doing amazing, and I am absolutely proud of her. And she is mentally soaring. In fact, I posted pictures, and again, I'm not mentioning names, so I hope that this is okay, and I think that it is because I'm not saying any names. But I had posted that I helped her clean her RV. And so after that, she has got a great outlook on things, and she actually went and helped somebody else clean theirs, and they helped each other out in some ways, and this and that. And I just went, look at God go. I just went, this is all God, you all. I go, this is incredible. And I got myself into a little bit of a bind. Not anything that I created, just where I'm at in my journey. Not because I did something wrong, not because something went wrong. It's just kind of how things are kind of flowing right now. And I had to put some trust in God on some things with my finances. And I've been very vulnerable and very open with you all, telling you all that I am not the greatest with money. I'm really trying. I'm really working on some things. I'm working on my perspective on what is a necessity versus a need versus a want. And I'm kind of going with it all. And so I'm working on not being so impulsive. I'm working on taking my time on some things. I'm working on working some things out and stepping back and being still and letting God lead and talking to God. And so this, again, is all part of my journey as well. I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm sharing, and I'm hoping that this is helping. And this is all God. And so I said, okay, and I got myself into a little bind, and so I messaged some of my peeps, and I said, hey, y'all, if y'all know anybody who needs any side work, I need some side work done, blah, blah, blah. And she messages me, and she goes, hey, I know somebody, give her a call, blah, blah, blah. And so I go, and I said, okay, I'll and this was on Friday. And I said, well, it's Labor Day weekend. I'll just wait until like Monday or something. And if I haven't heard from her, I will message her. I said, will you give her my number as well and tell her to reach out to me? She goes, absolutely. So I come on my Facebook, and I speak some words that God has given me and some things that God said. And again, like my videos that have been the last one, I go, this is crazy. And I go, I can't believe I'm sending this. And I send it. And my friend, she messaged me, she goes, call her. And she tells me her name. And I said, okay. I call her, she doesn't answer. So I texted her and I said, hey, my name is Angela. My friend so-and-so, gave me your number, and I understand you might have some work that you need done. And I then leave it alone, and I said, okay, God, I said, you had me send that. I said, this was really, really weird. I said, what are we doing? And I go, I am so confused. And I go, why would I say the whole wealth transfer? Why would I say all of this? And I go, do you know how many people that could disappoint? Do you know how many people that if this doesn't happen? And again, the devil started talking to me, and I went, shut up. And I go, you sent something prophetic, so-and-so messages you, just be patient, just wait and see what God is doing. And this is my journey, this is my walk. And I go, I'm shaking, and I go, okay. She calls me within 5 minutes, 5, 10, I don't even remember, but it was real quick. And she messages me, and she goes, I got a call from this number. And so I explain who I am and this and that. And she didn't even recognize the name of the other person. And I'm just like, what is happening? And I said, well, and so I go in, and she goes, what is it exactly that you're looking for? And so I tell her about myself a little bit. I tell her that, I let God lead. I'm kind of just telling her about who I am, and I'm being open. I'm being honest. I'm like, I just kind of talk. And she goes, she says, I saw your text message, but I have somebody else who has the same name as you, and I thought it was them. And she goes, so I just left my phone, and I went to go into Walmart. And she goes, and I go in the doors of Walmart, and something told me to go back to my car. I can't make this up. And I said, okay. And so she goes back to her car, and she said, I went back to my car, and I realized the text was from you, so I just decided to call you. And she goes, I need you to know that I believe in God, and I read the Bible. And I said, okay, good. And she goes, I believe in all. She goes, but I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And I kind of smirked a little bit, very quietly, because what I had just posted was about everybody's beliefs. It doesn't matter your race, your color, your gender, your whatever. Everybody's morals and ethics are exactly the same. And so I said, well, I don't care what religion you are. I said, I feel you have God's heart. And she goes on to tell me that she was a single mom and lived in her car with her children. And her family's from Guatemala, and she's Mexican or whatever, Guatemalan or whatever. And she said, she got like chorizo and flour and this and that, and she had $20 to her name, and she had to make that stretch. And so she said that she prayed to God that if God would get her out of this, that she would do anything she had to serve others. And she opened up her home for elderly people, and that she had someone that she had taken care of for like 7 years, but was so close to her and was so much like family that it broke her, and she couldn't do it anymore. And but that God had been putting on her heart that she needed to reopen it. She needed to redo it. And she knows that this is what her purpose is. And she knows she loves taking care of the elderly. She loves what she does. So she reopened her home, and she has 2 clients that live with her. But she herself is elderly. She's like in her 60s or something. I don't know. She's like in her elderly. She's a short little lady, and she's the cutest little thing I've ever seen in my life. And she's got a heart, and she just laughs and she smiles and she has a good time with everything. And I just go, God, this woman is amazing. And that was just over the phone talking to her. I felt that. And then when I met her, it was even more holy cowish. And so she says to me, again, I have not met her yet. I've only talking to her on the phone at this point. She's telling me about her she lived in her car and this and that and blah, 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 and how, she wanted to reopen it, and she was telling me about how she lost the friend, and she's just telling me her story. This happens to me all the time. And so she's telling me her story, and she kind of tears up a little bit, and she says, I just really need someone to help me so that I can help them, and I really want to reopen myself up to doing this, but it's exhausting, and it's a 24-hour job, and I can't do it on my own. And she goes, where do you live? And I tell her where I live, and she goes, do you have family? Do you have kids? And I said, my kids are all grown. I said, I do not have any family. I'm not married. I said, I don't have anything. I said, I have 2 dogs. And she goes, I said, I live in an RV. Again, I've not met this woman yet. And she says to me, how would you like to come and live on my land? I have 8 acres of land, and I have an RV that you can live in rent free, and I will pay you such an amount of dollars per month to come and help me. If that isn't God, then I don't know what is. And I stood there and I said, what? And I said, I want you to understand that we have never met. And I said, and if you only knew my journey and where I am in this moment to talk to you, this is all God. And she goes, I believe that too. And she goes, I don't doubt that. And she goes, I want you to come and meet them. They're like my family. I want you to come and meet them. My grandson is here right now, and he's got to go back home. And he's been here helping me. And he's like a young kid, but he's like a teenager or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, and he was, and she's like, but he's got to go back home, and I can't have him forever, but I really need some help. And I said, sure. I said, when do you want me to meet? She goes, can you come tonight? I went that night, and I met her, and I walked with her on her land, and we had amazing conversation, and it was deep, and it was good. And she said, I need you to know that my grandson and I last night were praying that God would bring somebody to come and help us. And she said that she started to freak out, and she had some anxiety, and she said to her grandson, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do. And he looks at his grandmother, and she tells me this story. He looks at me and says, what do you always tell me? To trust in God. And I guess he's had some troubles, and he's had some stuff going on, and things have been going on, and she has been introducing him to God. And she goes, I just want to take him to worship on Thursday nights, and I want to take him to church on Sunday morning, but I haven't been able to because I haven't had anybody to help me with them. And she goes, and he's going back home. And I said, okay. And he's such a gentleman, and he is good, and he is so good to his grandma, and he's been protecting her on so many things, and people have been coming and taking advantage of this woman and all kinds of stuff, and he's like, this is not happening, and this is not, and they felt so comfortable with me. They're like, and so Monday night they called me, and they said, we're going to have the place ready for you by Friday, we're going to do this, and I went, oh my God. And I said to her, and when we were walking, and I kind of explained my story. I explained how I have a YouTube channel. I explained how God leads me. I explained all that to her. And she's a Jehovah's Witness. And I explained all of this to her. And I said, wow. I said, this is absolutely incredibly amazing. And I said, maybe this is God's way of saying to me, when they talk about in the Bible, you reap what you sow. Maybe I need to come and help you, and in you helping me, I'm helping you, and maybe God will line up some land for me, and I'll have some money saved that I can do this. So if I'm helping you on your land, you are actually helping me be able to get my land. And I said, and so I think that this is definitely a God thing that needs to happen. And the RV is not the greatest. It's smaller than what I'm in now, but it's not as small as I was in. And so I go, I am willing to sacrifice some things for what God is doing in this, because it's a much bigger picture, and it's not just about me, but there's so many other people that this is affecting. And so my suffering or my sacrifice or whatever it may be is nothing compared to what other people are doing for others. And I only have 37 minutes because it's going to cut me off, so I'm going to keep going real quick. And so the next thing was, I go and work for her this morning. They leave me by myself with them because I've done healthcare. I've done all this with them. I've been here. I've done this. And so you don't know unless you dive into it. And her house has been a little bit of chaos because she's in the middle of remodeling and making it work. And so she's rebuilding, she's redoing this. So I dove in and I redid her kitchen. I redid the pantry. And she just went, oh my God, you've only been here for like 5 hours. And she goes, I can't. And she got to leave, and we sent her to go to Walmart. This girl, I love her. We gave her a grocery list, and so she was going to go to Walmart, and she came back, and I said, do you need help with the groceries? She says, I never went to Walmart. And I said, where'd you go? She goes, I just needed to escape. She goes, because I hadn't been out in so long. And I went, amen. I go, who cares about the groceries? And I just hugged her. And she was just like, I went and had lunch with my sister, and she glowed because she needed somebody to fill her cup. And so you have to help serve somebody else to fill their cup. This is why we serve. And the more people that serve, the less it's on somebody else, and everybody's flowing, and everybody's cup is being filled, and everybody's getting to go to church, and everybody's getting to see the message and hear the message and do the message, and they're not having to be there for 10 hours during the day, and it's not but on Sundays everybody loves it and nobody cares. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't get exhausting. It doesn't mean that it doesn't get draining. We all have to help each other out, right? So for those of us that are pushing the politics on Facebook, for those of us that are pushing the Lionsgate, those of us that are pushing the energy, those of us that are praying, those of us, we are the fighters that are not going to stop because you don't like it or you're exhausted. Go ahead. Be exhausted. It's draining. It's a lot to do. So there should be more of us that can take over for others when someone else can't. This is why there's 24-hour people that help with elderly. That's why the hospitals are open 24 hours. We work in the night and we work in the day. Night watchers, start working at night so the rest of us can sleep during the day. So that we can do this during the day while you sleep at night. We get it. It's exhausting when you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're completely drained. But now the kids are coming home from school. This is happening. That's happening. We get that. We understand that. So we'll take the morning shift of the prayers. Halloween is coming. Halloween is coming. And I posted and I said, what is that going to look like for us? What is Halloween going to look like for us? And I said that. So that's coming, and I'm going to switch on that video. Let me go back real quick. So anyways, so I go to work for her this morning, and I meet all the other people that are renting from her. And one of the ladies runs a nonprofit, and she gets people out of prison and mental health and rehabs and everything. She gives them a second chance and gives them life skills with technology and database and creating programs and creating things for people. And I went, holy cow, and you do this as a nonprofit? And she says, yes. She goes, we give people second chances to revamp themselves on skills to better. And I just went, if you need help, let me know. Like, I just went, what is happening? That's God, y'all. I am beyond myself right now of God. And I am in awe. And it's when you do it, understanding what's happening in the moment and going with it and discerning it and understanding it. And then again, just so everybody is aware, I also looked at the other end of it of, is this a cult? Is this a witchcraft? Is this this? Is this that? And I had to feel myself when I went there, and I had to understand the environment. I had to understand where I was at. And people were like, just be careful, just be careful. And I was like, I know. And so I had said, I'm not rushing into anything. Just because it's available on Friday, I'm not moving in on Friday. I have already talked to my landlord. I've already made arrangements. I've already done what I needed to do. I'm slowly going to do what needs to be done on my end. And but I've met them, and I mean, it's a go. I'm going and I'm doing it, but I'm not impulsive and this has to happen. It has to happen right now. I'm giving myself a little bit of time. I'm giving myself a little bit of space. I'm making sure that I'm getting confirmations from God correctly. I'm making sure that everything is of God, and that I'm really doing this for all the right reasons and for all the right ways. But when you see the bigger picture of what this is doing for others, you kind of go, there's my confirmation. And again, I made that decision on Monday night that I was going to wait, and I was going to wait on God, and I was going to wait to get some confirmations. And so when I went into work with them this morning, I got all the confirmations that I needed. I don't know what's next. I don't know what God has planned for anything, on anything. I am still, as always, going with the flow, and I'm just going to keep going in this, you guys. And there's so much more happening that I can't talk about yet. And I can't wait till I can. I can't wait till I can. Good night. Goodbye. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what time it is. Sorry. But I'm hungry. I'm going to make myself something to eat. I love y'all. Bye.